Good evening. Welcome to the City Council meeting of Wednesday, October 18th, 2017. Can I have roll call, please?
Dan Carey.
Present.
Peg Coniff. Here. Salem Derby.
Present.
Jennifer Hayes.
Here.
JP Kaczynski. Joe McCoy.
Here.
Dan Rist.
Here.
Tamara Smith.
Here.
Joy Winnie.
Here.
Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have a motion for the approval of minutes of October 4th.
So moved.
Second. Second for October 4th minutes approval. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Okay. All those nays? Nope. Motion passes. Public speak time. If there's anyone here from the public who would like to address the council for anything that's not on our public hearings, please come to the podium and state your name and address. Not seeing anyone. We can move on. Communications of elected officials, boards, committees, and correspondence. We have none at this point. Mayor Communications, Mayor Cadger.
I don't think she heard.
Mayor Cadger? Do you have it? Okay. I didn't know if you heard me.
Thank you, Mr. President. So a couple of things. Our auditor, Val, had asked me if I would hand these out. Kindly pass those along.
I will do.
So this is the, as it says, the fiscal 2017 schools spending. It's the end of the report. And I think, looking it over, it's just FYI. But it's, I think some of the important things to notice is under, like, for instance, our total net spending, the required is the $19,77653, and what we actually spend for net is the $20,818,755. So it's nice to know, and I'm obviously very supportive that our net spending is $1,048,000 over what's required. So I think that's a really plus. I think it's a great thing, and I know it's been something that I've been supportive of, and I'm sure it will continue to be supported in the future.
What does that mean, the required versus what they spend?
What's required by the state?
A minimum?
What is required? They have a requirement that each community has to meet,
Okay.
and sadly, some don't meet it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm happy to announce that not
Which
only
one
do
do
we
you
meet it, we exceed it by over $1 million.
Okay.
So I think that's
Okay.
very positive and something that I know we're very proud of. The other thing that I just wanted to mention, another very positive thing, is our free cash was certified. Our auditor does an excellent job of submitting everything nice and early. So we're usually one of the first communities to get our free cash certified. And this year, our general fund is $1,669,820. And our enterprise, which is water, sewer, and wastewater, is $1,705,764, which to me is incredible.
705.
So-
1.7?
I'm sorry, JP.
You said 1.7?
For the enterprise is $1,705,764.
1.7 million. That is amazing.
It is
for
amazing.
enterprise, yes.
It is amazing. So I'm very proud, obviously, of our fiscal stability in this city. Now, seeing how free cash has been certified, what you'll be seeing at your next meeting will be some capital expenditures, one of which, there'll be, a few anyway, but one of which will be, seeing how it's election time, will be voting machines for our city clerk. So there'll be a few other expenditures too. As usual, I'm going to warn you ahead of time. I'm extremely proud of what we have in our general stabilization, not to mention the capital stabilization, which I created. So I will be tucking funds in there. It's I think when I started, I think we probably had maybe about 500,000. Now, without even putting funds in there, which I will out of our free cash, Right now, in our capital stabilization, we have $1,196,426. And in our general, we have $1,897,707. Now, to have, almost 1.2 million in capital when we didn't even have a capital stabilization, I think is great. So I'm very, very pleased with these. And the fact that we've been adding employees over the years instead of cuts. So I think we're continuing in the right direction. But again, just a heads up, you'll be seeing some of the capital, you'll see some transfers at your next meeting from free cash that I know you will pass on to Finance Subcommittee, and we'll take it as it goes. And what I do is I meet with you received the capital list before, and then what I do is I meet with each of the departments. Again, they're in order of the way they feel the priority is. And we'll go down the list, and some of them we'll do, some of them we won't. And that'll be coming before you.
I have a question. I'm still
Absolutely.
blinking at this number. So the 1,699,999, that's just free cash alone?
Yes.
That's amazing. Because I started it's like
Yes, it
$800,000
is
or
amazing.
$900,000.
Yes, it is amazing.
Yeah, that's terrific.
Truly amazing.
Right. And just for the public and against the council, because I always have to remind myself, free cash comes from excess from departments, comes from new growth in the city.
And a variety of things. It's actually a little complicated formula too.
Okay.
So, but it comes from a variety of things. But part of it is, like especially with your enterprise, what we didn't use last year even though they call it the enterprise, I still call it free cash for the water and sewer. That rolls over too. So what we don't use stays there, and then what we tuck away into stabilization and capital stabilization. And I'm going to say it because I absolutely do not like the word free cash. There's nothing free about it. We've earned it, we've worked hard for it, and we're really, really good at what we do.
Okay.
And if you have any questions whatsoever, don't hesitate to ask.
I just would like to say kudos to you. Those are very strong figures and very impressive. Thank you so much.
Thank you, JP.
Absolutely.
Okay, Mayor Communications, standing committees, we still have time. Finance, Councilor Rist.
Yes, Mr. President, I would first like to move to set a public hearing for November 1st at 6:15 in these chambers for the FY18 tax classification request from the assessors.
Second.
Okay, a motion to second to set a public hearing, 11-1, on the tax classification. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes.
We will not have a Finance Committee meeting next week as we have nothing on our agenda, but I'd like the members to be prepared. Apparently, we're going to have plenty to do the rest of the semester, the fall.
Fiscal year.
I would like to say one thing, that this does bode well. We all know that we're looking at a major bond issue. If we do build a school, I hope we do, that bond issue and its rating is affected directly by the financial stability of our government. And that financial stability is pointed at the stabilization fund. So this could mean millions of dollars in interest savings because we have a stabilization fund that we do. It means we are a stable fiscal community, and there is less risk if you buy the bonds that we may need. And I want to congratulate the mayor and the finance director for that. That's all I have until the public hearings, Mr. President.
Okay, Public Safety, Councilor Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we did a site visit on Monday to take a look at School Street and some of the possibilities about making that one way. We had a really good turnout. I thought we had really good feedback. We'll be scheduling another public safety meeting probably after this meeting, so I don't know that now. And we're going to continue to look at the traffic rules and get the wording on that correct at that meeting as well. And there's no new business. This concludes.
Thank you.
I have a
Appointments.
quick question.
Oh,
I know last time you had said that residents on the street were a little overwhelmed by one way. I just wanted to see what other people who were involved had to say about it.
Yeah, we had a good turnout on Monday, so there were people who lived in the neighborhood, and then also I've heard from the gentleman who owns Pizza House, and he wants to be informed of where it is. So we've definitely accomplished a little bit more public outreach than we had initially, which I think with something like this, we really do need to have community input, so.
I think we, can I add?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Yeah.
I think one way to get more people, and the superintendent is here, but maybe having it in the newsletter as an item coming up for discussion, since the majority of people that have problems with that area are parents dropping off kids.
Precisely. Yeah, we discussed that on Monday, that we're hoping to be able to put that into the school newsletter so that the parents that are involved with dropping their kids off and picking them up can also know that we're looking at the safety issue of this area. But thank you.
Terrific, thank you. Appointments, Counselor Smith.
No new business.
Okay. Ordinance, Counselor Derby.
Thank you, Mr. President. We unfortunately are not going to be able to meet this week at our normal time because if anybody out there is looking, basketball signups are right now, and suburban tryouts are Monday and Wednesday this week. So our normal meeting time is Wednesday next week. Well, to next Wednesday. So figured that was implied. And so we might try to, if I can coordinate with the counselors, we might try to do either Thursday or the following week on a different day. So we'll be posting that shortly. That concludes.
Property, Counselor Kwasinski.
No new business?
Okay. Rules and Government Relations, Counselor Rist.
No report, Mr. President.
No old business, no new business. So I'll take a motion for a 5-minute recess until 6:15.
Second.
Motion second, 5-minute. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, abstained. We'll be back at 6:15 for public hearings.
Envious of your Diet Coke.
Okay, welcome back to City Council meeting. I'll entertain a motion to open public hearings.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes. Counselor Rist.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, we have an interdepartmental transfer from the reserve fund for $18,017 to be transferred to various departments in the DPW, which I'll list when I do the regular motion. For the purpose of funding the recently negotiated collective bargaining agreement. Finance Committee approved this 3-0. It represents a 1.5% raise, and I would like to compliment the administration, DPW head, and the workers, the union, for what looks like a very good negotiation. Mayor Kasia.
Thank you, Dan, and I agree. We definitely want to thank our DPW workers. So as you can see on this transfer request, this is for Unit A. So that is, all the DPW workers. Unit B has already been done for the DPW. That was actually already, it was done early, so it's already in your fiscal 18 budget. So that one's already been settled. And that was with the supervisors. So for the DPW, those two bargaining groups, in those bargaining is, I sit at the table with every bargaining group. So it'd be myself, Joe Paczynski as the DPW director, Patty Cotton as the office manager, and our HR director, Monica Kane. And it's very important that we have staffing, especially people like Patty being the office manager. She's the one that implements all these things into payroll. So in prior times, sometimes what happened is when these were all figured out and all said and done, they weren't a smooth transition into the operations of the department. So it's very important that all of them are there so that we have all the information and we all agree on what happens. The fire union, as you already know, you just did that one, that's already settled. And that consisted of the personnel director, Monica Kane, again, myself, and the fire chief. So those are the ones that are on the negotiations. The school unions, which are all four unions, they have already settled also. So we're done for this fiscal year, and there's only one that will be coming up. So I'm happy to leave no loose ends, and so to speak. And there's only one that will be coming up that is due for July of, June 30th. It expires June 30th of 18, and that will be the police union. So all of your contracts are all up to par, all agreed upon, and I hope that you'll look favorably and approve this transfer.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the public who would like to address the council concerning this appropriation? Okay, Councilor.
Does the director want to say anything?
Director, did you?
Yes.
Okay.
None of us have any questions.
Okay. Questions? Okay, Councilor List.
I therefore move that the council approve the following appropriation of $18,017 to be transferred from the reserve fund, $18,017, to be transferred to DPW highway salary, $4,280, DPW motor repair salary, $1,460, DPW sewer salary, $3,221, DPW wastewater treatment plant salary, $4,790, and DPW water salary, $4,266, for a total of $18,017 for the following purpose: to provide funds for the recently negotiated collective bargaining agreement.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second to approve the departmental transfer of $18,017. Additional questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes.
The next appropriation is from the Community Preservation Act of $30,000 for the purpose of providing a batting cage for the high school. The Community Preservation Committee voted unanimously for this, and as it has with every other facility that has been requested by the school department, it insisted upon and was assured by the school department that there would be public use of these facilities. I am a witness to the fact that the football field is used quite a bit by youth programs. I have a grandson playing in the football. One of the things that these facilities do benefit are all our youth programs. In this case, our Little League, our Legion. I think some of the coaches are here, not just for the school system. And that was important to the CPA committee. In fact, in the agreement, you'll see attached to the fund Number 8 was added to make sure that this occurs, and I see the committee felt good about the fact that youth programs would be served by these new batting cages. The Finance Committee also approved this 3-0. I would like to invite any member of this group, maybe the athletic director, to explain why this is so important. And I'd like to expound on the fact that we're one of the few school systems that does not have this capability.
Good evening. Patty Doherty, 82 Lovefield Street. I'm also the athletic director at Easthampton High School. Last year, my varsity coach, Ed Sikowski, came to me along with a couple of community members, Kevin Welby and Joe Duchesne, and we started talking about building batting cages. This is something we don't have in Easthampton, which is sort of strange that we don't. Most of the high schools we play against have these type of facilities. Most of the towns have them for their youth programs. We looked at a number of different options, and we came up with, I think, is a great plan, which is a dual batting cage. So we'll have multiple players will be able to work out in it at a time. And also, it's not just for batting, it's also for pitching, and it would be close to our varsity field, so it could be used as an area to warm up during games. Again, this is a tool that most of the communities around us offer their baseball teams at the high school and the youth level. And we just feel it's another way to help us improve our programming and what we can bring to our baseball community and Easthampton in general.
Did you bring a picture with you by any chance?
Do I have a picture? I have a couple different pictures. But let me find the best picture for you.
I wanted to point out while she's looking.
So it's a little blurry, but that is
that $6,000 of the $36,000 budget is with volunteer help and some equipment supplied by the school department itself. So it's not totally funded by the CPA. There is $6,000 additional funds.
Are there any questions? Councilor Hayes?
Explain to me how the public would have access, what they would need to do to sign up to use it.
So it would be on the high school property, so it would go through our facility use forms and our process that we have at the school district.
So that involves like a phone call, making an appointment. Who would they call? Would it be you? Would it-
They contact the high school office, and there's a form that gets filled out, and then the central office signs off on it, and the principal signs off on it.
And would there be somebody there to help them, like set it up so they don't get hurt or anything like that, or is it just a space?
Well,
Is there a pitching machine involved in this project?
There can be a pitching machine. There doesn't have to be a pitching machine. And it would be all set up already. And then for the season. And then we would take the nets down, and anything that would get ruined in the winter would come down for the season, and then we would put it back up.
So the CPA funds would just be used for the structure, not any of the equipment that goes along with it?
The high school will be providing some of the equipment, and the structure and the batting cage itself would come from the CPA funds, along with a fence that would go around it.
Thank you.
Additional questions, Councilor Smith?
I know that in the past year there's been a lot of vandalism to a lot of the sports complex buildings around the city, and I'm just wondering with that design whether or not it will have any security cameras or anything like that, and I'm just worried about it being so open.
Mm-hmm. So again, there will be a fence around it that would be locked. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's only so much we can do. I do know there is not surveillance cameras in that spot behind the parking area.
Okay.
Okay, additional questions?
I think something to note, though, is how all the, I know that baseball, soccer, and football had vandalism to their field houses. And all those community youth groups came together and got volunteers to address things that were broken and to clean up after those. And so we have wonderful volunteers in our youth sports and in our high school programs who, when things like that happen, we come together and we make it right.
Questions? No? Is there someone behind you who wants to speak?
I was just here for support.
Oh, okay.
And then there was a question that the athletic director needed clarification on. I'm Ed Zuhowski, 67 Ice Pond Drive, Florence, Massachusetts, just a town over. Been currently the varsity baseball coach since 1999, also a Spanish teacher at the high school since 1994. This is just a great opportunity for the youth. We actually also have our varsity softball coach, so although we've been touting this as kind of baseball, it's dual purpose. It's going to also help out with the softball teams, and both at the youth leagues for softball and for baseball, so the Little League. We had two very successful teams I'm sure you're aware of this year. We had 2 state championship teams in the youth leagues. We're really hoping to keep these kids coming through our schools. School choice is something that I'm sure you're aware of on the city council, and we are the school department. Keeping youth in Easthampton is very important, and athletics is becoming, at least with this group, something that's really important as they're moving up and through. We see this batting cage as an opportunity to keep baseball, softball players in school as, they continue up through the high school, become that athlete and academic student, full-rounded student that we hope for each one of our students in Easthampton and the district. So really excited about this. As a coach, I feel like I can reach out to the youth down into the White Brook Middle School and younger and start to involve some of those kids, get them excited about the programming that we're doing at the high school, hoping to keep bringing them through their experience in the schools up to the high school, and inviting their friends that they might be playing in rec leagues from area towns to maybe consider coming over and playing varsity sports in Easthampton from neighboring communities because of the facilities we have and the success that we hope to bring to the program.
Any questions for the coach while he's up there? No? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Is anyone else from the public who'd like to address the council on this appropriation? Feel free to come up. No? Okay, Councilor Rist.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the council approve the following appropriation request: $30,000 to be appropriated from the CPA Reserve for Open Space account, $30,000 to be appropriated to the high school batting cage, $30,000 requested for the following purpose: for purchase of materials and installation of a batting cage at the high school.
Second.
Okay, a motion, a second to approve the supplemental appropriation of $30,000 from CPA for the high school batting cage. Additional comments, Councilor?
Quick question. You said it was coming from the open space account instead of the recreation account?
I apologize, my head is full and I can't hear real well, but I think you were wondering why it's the open space account. I was about to actually bring that forward. The open space account also includes recreation as part of its mandate. And actually what's really great is a few years ago, the state approved repair and improvement of existing maintenance, an existing recreation facility, which allowed us to do what we did down in the park, rather than have to build a whole new park, which it used to be.
Right.
So yes, it's open space and recreation is the actual title of that account.
Well, and it was helpful to have the images because I know they don't necessarily like having indoor recreation spaces. CPA funds used for those.
I agree.
Okay, Councilor.
Just one question, Dan. Do you have the balance of what's remaining in the CPA fund? Can you just put that on the record? Do you have it with you?
I don't have an
Okay.
exact figure. I'd rather not quote
Yep.
it, but it's over $1 million.
Okay.
We have quite a bit left.
It's
1.33.
I just
in
have
the
one more
packet.
question.
Oh, is it on?
Yeah, it's the last page of the request. It's got all the.
Oh, my
broken out
apologies.
parts. So it'd be the 1.3 million minus the 30,000.
Yes, and you can see under open space, there's 140,000. The undesignated fund is where we are required to spend out of open space, historic preservation, or affordable housing, certain amounts. We're required to put at least 10% of our allotment into it. but the undesignated fund can be used for anything.
Any of those three.
So when we do have something that's directly out of open space, it can be used for that. I apologize if I am being redundant, I can't hear you.
Councilor.
I'm just curious where it's going to be stored in the winter. I'm just thinking like a tent takes up a lot, so that looks like it would be huge.
I'm sorry, Councilor Rissman, we're under a motion, so with this, we can't.
Oh, okay.
Is it important I can withdraw the motion?
I might be able to answer the question.
What?
I might be able to answer the question. I think that part of the funds include building the shed at the site, and that's where it'll be stored.
Yes.
Great. Thank you.
I could have answered that if I heard you. We have a motion.
Yeah, so the motion, a second. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes. Before we move on to the last.
I would just like to say on behalf of the Easthampton Public Schools, we're gracious for your vote this evening, and we'll be working very quickly to get this in place. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Sure.
I'd like to move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion second, close public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes. Before we adjourn, since we were talking about CPA, I did notice that the CPA meeting was scheduled for tomorrow. It has been rescheduled to November 16th. So that's where you get all the information about expenditures and what we're going to be getting possibly next year. And can you expound any more upon that, Councilor?
It is required by the CPA Act that we have one annual meeting. It's normally in the fall. We moved it to November because of the the appropriate election needs, such as tomorrow night's debate. Plus, we had no other items on our agenda, so we moved it to November so that all of the stakeholders, people from housing, people from open space, conservation, anybody that might have a project might want to come forward and discuss that. Just as a side note, something I'm pretty proud of for our city, I think it was 2003 that this was passed, I'm not positive, but we spent $51 million in Community Preservation Act funds, which include state monies that were leveraged by our own monies for projects in this city. That's incredible. Without the CPA Act, a lot of the things we take for granted, like our beautiful boardwalk, would not have happened. So those exact figures are online, and we are doing a reworking of what's known as the preservation CPA annual announcement, which shows all of what we've done, all that is anticipated to be done.
Okay. Great. Thank you. So unless anyone has any more comments or announcements, entertain a motion to
Move
adjourn.
to adjourn.
Second.
A motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes. See you November 1st.
We have to sign.
Yep.